Hello everyone. In today's class I'm going to take GST. GST is nothing but Goods and Service Tax. This is there for ICSE 10 standard. And as far as I know, this is considered to be one of the toughest area told by many students. Now let's get into the chapter. Let's learn the basic of this and then let's do the problems. If you plan to take commerce stream in your 11th or 12th grades, then you will be learning this in detail. Whereas in the 10th grade, you only learn the max part of it. So let's start GST. Well, whatever we start, we have to know some knowledge about the topic, isn't it? So I have some theories which is very important. I'm not going to take too much of your time on theory. So very important and core areas is discussed as points here. GST is an indirect tax levied at a prescribed rate. Now there are two tax systems in India. One is direct tax and other is indirect tax. Direct tax something like income tax, whereas indirect tax are many. Sales tax, excise duty, octroi duty. There are so many indirect tax. The main aim of implementing GST is to remove all the indirect taxes and have only one tax. So GST is considered as an indirect tax levied at a prescribed rate on the sale of goods or services except on petroleum and alcohol for human consumption. So as of now, these two items, petroleum and alcohol, has not been brought into the bracket of GST. Point 2. GST is considered as a value added tax. Now that means GST paid is otherwise called as input GST is set off against the GST collected, which is called as the output GST in short. Now GST paid, imagine a dealer is buying TV from the manufacturer. When the dealer buys it, his aim is to sell, isn't it? So when he buys TV from a manufacturer, he will obviously pay GST. So what GST the dealer pays to the manufacturer is considered as a GST on purchase. GST on purchase, which is otherwise called as GST paid or input GST. Now when the dealer sells the same TV to the consumer, he will collect GST on sales. The previous one was GST on purchase. This is GST on sale, which is otherwise called as an output GST. So the net GST or the GST amount that the dealer will remit to the government is the difference between these two. Output GST minus input GST. Point 3. Well, point 3 is not that relevant for 10 standard, but still I am giving a rough reading to this. GST or input GST on purchase is not a cost or an expenditure, but it is an asset. Forget about that, it's not so important for you all. GST collected on sale of services is an income. Now, point 4. This one I've already told you, but here listed out once again. GST payable to the government is nothing but output GST minus input GST. Hence, GST is considered as a value added tax. Next one, the motto behind implementation of GST. The motto behind implementation of GST is one nation, one tax. To bring the entire nation under one tax bracket, GST is implemented by the central government in the year 2017. Now, as we know, we are a very big country with, different diversity, right? We have many states and union territories. Now, what happens when the buyer and seller reside in the same state? Or what happens when the buyer and seller live at two different places, like two different states, not place. Let me correct myself, it is state. Now, intra-state sale of goods or services. When the buyer and seller live in the same state or same union territory, then the sale that is happening or services that is happening is called as an intra-state of sale or sales or services. When the buyer and seller live in different states, imagine the purchaser is in Mumbai, the seller is in Goa. Then the sale is called as an interstate sale of goods or services. Alright, which means supply or between two states, or supply outside the state. And here supply is within the state. So the next I'm going to show you the classification of GST. So we understood what is a GST. What is a GST? GST is an indirect tax. Okay. Now GST is introduced in the year 2017. It is between the sale of goods or service within the state or between state to state. So we saw what is intra-state and interstate. Now we are getting into the classification. GST is classified as CGST, means Central GST or Central Goods and Service Tax. Then IGCST, which means Integrated Goods and Service Tax. Then SGCST or State Goods and Service Tax, or UTGST or Union Territory Goods and Service Tax. Now, this is a very important area. So there are three types broadly. SGST sometimes will be removed by UTGST and vice versa. Alright, depending upon the case of the question. Now, let us assume the sale is happening within the state. When the sale is happening within the state, both CGST and SGST is levied. Both CGST and SGST is levied, or a GST rate is, imagine if it is 12%, 6% will be called as a central CGST and 6% will be called as a state CGST. So that means 6% of the total GST, out of the total GST collected, half the amount will go to the central government and half the amount will go to the state government. This is when the sale is within the state. When the sale is between state to state, when the sales or services is between state to state, then the GST levied is called as an IGCST or integrated GST, wherein the entire GST amount will go only to the central government. Alright, so if the sale or purchase happening within the state, and which means the buyer and seller living in the same state or same union territory, then it is CGST. If it is same union territory, CGST and UTGST will come. The central government will take half, the union government will take half. Instead of union territory, if it is a state, then central government will take half, the state government will take half. Alright, out of the total GST. Imagine if it is between state to state, state to state. In that case, the state government will not have any share. Everything will go to the central government in the name of IGCST. Hope you understood this. So I've described this in the notes later. You can copy this down. So let's start with the sums now. So here in this video, I'm trying to do 3, 4, 5, 6 question of ML Agarwal. Once I do the third sum, I'm sure you will be able to do the first and second sum on your own. Alright, so let's start with the third question. A manufacturer sells washing machine to a wholesaler for 15,000 rupees. The wholesaler sells it to the trader at a profit of 1,200. The trader sells it to the consumer at a profit of 1,800. If sales are all intra-state, rate of GST is 12%. Find the following. Now, before we get into the following things, let us first observe the questions and find out the respective GSTs at every level. Hope you understood the question. I'm going to take this to my blackboard and work it out. Question number 3. There are 3 parties involved in this: manufacturer, wholesaler. Give ample space so that you can put all the calculations, and then the retailer. and then the trader. I think the name used is a trader. So manufacturer, wholesaler, and then a trader. Right. Once again, let's read the question. The manufacturer sells a washing machine to the wholesaler for 15,000 rupees. So selling price of the manufacturer is 15,000, which is the cost price of the wholesaler. The wholesaler sells it to the trader at a profit of 1,200. Now the wholesaler sells this to the trader at a profit of 1,200. So profit equals 1,200. So that means selling price will be cost price plus profit. So this will be 16,200. Right? Now, when the manufacturer sells it to the wholesaler, the manufacturer will collect tax from the wholesaler. Obvious, isn't it? So let's find the GST calculation. GST is given as 12%, and please read the question, it is intrastate. So that means within the state, so both CGST and SGST will be levied. Alright, now out of 12%, 6% is CGST, 6% is SGST. So I'm going to first calculate CGST amount, which is 15,000 into 6 divided by 100, which works out to 900 rupees. SGST will also be the same figure, because on the same amount we are going to calculate 6%. So that is also 900. So total comes to 1,800, which is the tax collected by the manufacturer from the wholesaler, which is in turn the input tax of the wholesaler, which is input GST of the wholesaler. Please note it down. That's very important point. So once you calculate the tax collected by the manufacturer, which is nothing but the tax paid by the wholesaler, or input GST or GST on purchase. Now let's get into the wholesaler's picture. Now wholesaler is sold the goods for 16,200 to the trader, right? Now selling price we already know as 16,200. Let's find the output GST here. To output GST, I need to find CGST and SGST separately. So CGST would be 16,200 into 6%. 6 by 100. 2 zeros get cancelled and we get 972 rupees. So that means SGST will also be the same amount. Correct or not? Yes. So total output GST works out to 1944. So this is output GST full. Alright. So the GST paid by the wholesaler to the garment will be output minus input. So GST paid by the wholesaler to the garment is 1944, that is output GST, minus input GST of 1800. So 1800 is input GST, 1944 is output. So this will be the GST paid, which is 144 rupees. Make a point to this also. Half of this is CGST, half of this is SGST. Remember that. Half of 144 will go to the central government and half will go to the state government. So 72 will be CGST and 72 will be SGCST. Is the picture clear? Now let's move to the third party, who is a trader here. Now traders, wholesalers selling price will be the cost price of the trader, right? So CP of the trader is 16,200. The trader keeps a profit of 1,800. This we know from the question. So therefore the selling price will become 18,000. Selling price is 18,000. What is input GST of the trader? Well, the output GST of the wholesaler will become the input GST of the seller. So I'm just going to copy this figure here. So input GST will be 1944. Make a point to that, and then let's find out the output of the trader. Now output. When I get into the output area, I need to find the CGST separately, now SGST separately. So CGST would be the selling price, which is 18,000, into the rate, which is 6%, because 12% half 6%, and this works out to 1080. And SGCST will also be the same figure, 1080. So total output CGST or output GST is 2160. So let's make a point to this. Now the net GST or the GST paid by the trader to the government will be GST paid will be output minus input. So 2160 minus 1944, which will come out to 216 rupees. Again make a point, half will be CGST, half will be SGST. So 108 will be CGST, 108 will be SGCST. We don't know what the questions are, so we should be ready with all the figures. So with this, the dealing is over. Now the ultimate consumer. Now the consumer, let's take a new column for him. I'm getting wormy lines. Consumers. Now, what is the consumer's cost price? The selling price of the trader is the consumer's cost price. Isn't it? Trader is the one who sells to consumer. So trader's selling price is consumer's cost price. So that is 18,000. What is the tax paid by the consumer? Whatever the tax the trader has collected, the trader collected this amount. So this is what the tax paid or input. There is no output for consumer. Consumer is an ultimate consumer who enjoys the product. So we don't have to term this as an input. We simply can say this as a GST, which is 2160. So the amount paid by the ultimate consumer who enjoys this product is 20,160. So we come to the end of the story. Now let us see whether we are able to answer all the subdivision comfortably or not. If you check your book back, you will find the given answer is 72 for the Roman number 1, 108 for Roman number 2, and 20,160 for Roman number 3. Now let's see whether we are getting these figures from our calculations. So what is first one? The amount of tax received by the state government from the wholesaler. So here is the wholesaler. Here. Now, from the wholesaler, the state government is receiving 72 rupees. So this is the answer. From the wholesaler, the state government is receiving only 72 rupees. So this is the answer. for Roman number 1. We have to take it down and write. Okay. Question number 2. The amount of tax received by the central government from the trader. So from the trader, what the central government has received. Who is a trader here? He is a trader. And what is the central government receiving? Well, central government is receiving 108 rupees. So this is Roman number 2. Now let's do the third subdivision. The amount that the consumer pays for the machine. Okay, so that is the ultimate consumer. That means the last call. Yes, that is also right. So 20,160 is Roman number 3. Hope this is clear to you all. Let's do the next question. Here I go with the second question. The fourth question as per the book. According to the class, it is second question. A dealer buys an article at a discount of 30% from the wholesaler. A dealer buys an article at a discount of 30% from the wholesaler. The marked price is 6,000. So what is this marked price? The marked price are otherwise called as listed price or printed price. When you go and buy anything from a supermarket, you must have noticed there is a price tag in it, isn't it? Or you go to any shop, you buy a t-shirt or something, you see a price tag, isn't it? So that is called as a marked price, printed price or labeled price. There are many names to it, but only one meaning. Alright, so the marked price is 6,000 rupees. The dealer sells it to the consumer at a discount of 10%. At a discount of 10% on the marked price. The sale here is intra-state. GST rate is 5%. Now, before we get into answering the subdivision, or for that matter understanding the subdivision, we have to be ready with all the values. Isn't it, students? Yes. So a dealer buys an article. So here the story is slightly different from the previous one. Previous question, profit amount was given. Here it is not given. Instead they are offering a discount. Alright. So dealer buys an article at a discount of 30% from the wholesaler, the mark price being 6,000. Now if the discount is 30%, the discounted value, which means the price after discount, will be 70% of 6,000. There are two ways to do this. This one is an easier way. The other way is a bit difficult. Because since we have to do all calculation manually, that is not an advisable way. Now if you ask me what it is, then we first calculate 30% of 6,000. Okay, which works out to 1,800, which is the discount amount. Then subtract that from 6,000, you get the discounted value, which means the price that the dealer will pay to the wholesaler. But that will be too much of calculation, isn't it? So let's do, if 30% is the discount, 70% is the remaining amount. So discounted value will be 6,000 into 70 by 100. Alright. Then from there we will start our working. Let's start. So there are three parties to this question: wholesaler, dealer and a consumer. The wholesaler sells the goods at 30% discount from the marked price, and I already read it to you all. Now, the selling price is nothing but the discounted value. Discounted value. So, selling price is equals 6,000 into 70%, which is 4,200 rupees. GST rate is given as 5% in the question. So as we all know, half will go to state and half will, because this is also intra-state only, within the state. So half will go to state government and half will go to central government. What is half of 5%? 2.5%, isn't it? Instead of 2.5, let's keep it as 5 by 2. 2.5 can even be written as 5 divided by 2, right? Now, CGST here would be 4,200 selling price into the 5 by 2 by 100. So it is 5 by 200. Two zeros get cancelled. Calculation is easy here. You get 105. So SGCST will also be the same figure. So that will also works out to 210. So total tax paid by the dealer to the wholesaler is 210. Now let's get into the dealer. Selling price of the wholesaler will become the cost price of the dealer. So cost price of the dealer is 4,200 rupees. Now the dealer sells it to the consumer at 10% discount on the marked price. Alright. So what is the marked price? 6,000. If 10% is the discount, then the remaining is 90%. So find 90% of 6,000, which works out to 5,400 rupees. Now, cost we know, selling price, sales we know. Now, what is input GST of the dealer? Well, whatever the dealer paid to the wholesaler is the input GST, which we found it as 210. So, input GST equals 210 rupees. In that, remember, half is CGST and half is SGST. Now let's get into the output GST calculation. Output is calculated on sale, isn't it? So output CGST amount would be 5,400 into 5 by 2%, which is 5 by 200. Works out to 135 rupees. In that case, SGCST is also the same amount, 135. So total output comes out to 270. So GST paid by the dealer to the garment. GST paid by the dealer to the garment is 270 minus 210. How? Because this is input and this is output. So output minus input is the tax, which is 60 rupees. And in that, half is CGST and half is SGCST. So 30 and 30. So keep that in mind, okay? Now let's get into the consumer. The consumer's cost price is what? The dealer selling price, isn't it? So that is rupees 5,400. Now, the consumer is the ultimate person. He has no intention to sell it further. So he enjoys the product. Therefore, the GST paid by him is the GST collected by the dealer. So the output GST figure will be the GST paid by the consumer, 270 rupees. Now the amount paid by the consumer totals to 5,670 rupees. That's it. We have finished our calculation very clearly. Now let us see whether we are getting the book given answer. As per the book back, these are the figures 5670, 30 and 135. Let's see whether we are getting this. So what is the first question? Amount paid by the consumer for the article. The amount paid by the consumer is here. Consumer paid 5670. So this is the answer for the first case. Now the second case. The tax paid by the dealer to the state government. Well, dealer is here. The dealer paid only 60 rupees. Out of that, 30 rupees will go to the state government. So this is answer 2. Right? Now answer 3. Amount of tax received by the central government. Amount of tax received by central government. Central government received tax from the manufacturer 105 and then from the dealer 30 rupees. That's it, isn't it? So the third subdivision answer is 135. Hope this is clear to you all. Question number 5. The printed price of an article is 50,000. The wholesaler allows a discount of 10% to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper sells the article to the consumer 4% above the mark price. Note it down, it is above, not below. Previously it was discount and discount. Here it is above. Okay. Sale is intrastate. GST is 18%, so 9% central and 9% state. Okay, so this is the story. So let's start with the working. Let's do everything and we'll start solving the subdivisions. Yes. Now, the selling price of the wholesaler sells it at 10% discount. So therefore, the discounted value is 50,000 into 90% because out of 100, 10% is discount. So therefore, the selling price is 45,000. Now let's go to the GST calculation. CGST will be 45,000. The rate is 18%, so half 9%, which works out to 4050. And similarly, SGST will also be 4050. So total is 8,100. Alright, this is in regard with the wholesaler. Now let's get into the shopkeeper. The wholesaler's selling price is the shopkeeper's cost price. Cost price of the shopkeeper is 45,000 rupees. The shopkeeper sells at 4% above the marked price. So what is the marked price? Please make sure it's 50,000. So 50,000 and 4% above. So it is 104 by 100. Alright. And this works out to 52,000. Now input GST of the shopkeeper is this amount. So that is rupees 8,100. Now what is output GST? We have to find. So for that we'll find CGST first. So selling price 52,000 into GST of 9%. You get the amount as 4680. So similarly, SGCST will also be 4680. So totals to 9,360. Alright. So the GST paid by the wholesaler will be input minus output. Input is 8,100. Output is 9,360. So the difference is 9,360 minus 8,100, which is 1,260. Half is CGST and half is SGST, isn't it? So which means 630 and 630. All right. Now let's go to the consumers. Consumer's cost price is shopkeeper's selling price. So it's 52,000. GST is the GST collected by the shopkeeper, which is 9,360. So total price paid will be 52,000 plus 9,360, which works out to 61,360. So we are done with the calculation. Let us see whether we can answer the questions or not. Let's see whether we are getting the answer or not. The first, these are the answer listed out in the book. Okay, 5300, 61 360, 630 and 4680. Now let's see we are getting this amount or not. The amount inclusive of tax which the shopkeeper pays for the article. What the shopkeepers pays for the article including tax. Alright, so let's go to our calculation and let us see the shopkeeper's column. What is the shopkeeper paid? The shopkeeper paid at the time of purchase, he paid 45,000 plus 8,100, isn't it? 45,000 plus 8,100. So amount collected by the wholesaler is the amount paid by the shopkeeper. So amount collected by this fellow is 45,000 plus the tax of 8,100, which works out to the figure 53,100. So this is the amount collected by the wholesaler, in turn paid by the shopkeeper. So this is question number 1's answer. Now 2. The amount paid by the consumer for the article. Consumer is here. Amount paid by the consumer is 61,360. Now let's go to the third subdivision. The amount of tax paid by the shopkeeper to the central government. What tax the shopkeeper pays to the central government? Shopkeeper is here. Tax paid by the shopkeeper to the central government. So this is CGST. This is SCGST. So this is the amount he pays to the central government. Third subdivision. Now the last, the amount of tax received by the state government in total here. And they haven't used the word total, but that's what it means. All the tax received by the state government for this product at different shape. So the state government received 4050 from manufacturer. State government received 630, isn't it? So therefore subdivision number 4 will be 8,000. Sorry, it's 4050 plus 630, which works out to 4680. So that's it. We got the answer for all 4 subdivision here also. Let's take one more sum with this. This particular part will be very clear to you all. So this 6th question. A retailer buys TV from the wholesaler for 40,000. He marks the price of the TV 15% above his cost price. Retailer buys a TV from a wholesaler for 40,000. He marks the TV at 15% above his cost price, and sells it to the consumer at 5% discount on the mark price. So here it's slightly different from the previous model. As we move on, the level of the toughness increases. Okay, so the retailer buys it for 40,000. Then he puts 15% on top of that. Alright, makes it as a list price. Then he gives 5% discount on the list price or marked price. So this is the price at which he is going to sell it to the consumer. If the sales are intrastate, and rate of GST is 12%. So again CGST and SGST only here. Let's start the sum. Question number 6. The party here is wholesaler, and then we have retailer, and then we have the consumer. Maximum space will be given to the retailer. All right. Now, the selling price of the wholesaler is 40,000. So GST here, CGST equals 40,000 into 6%, half of 12, which works out to 2,400. So again, SGCST is also the same 2,400. So this is 4,800. All right. Now when it comes to the retailer, the cost price of the retailer is the selling price of the wholesaler. So which is 40,000. Now here the retailer lists the product, list price or mark price, which is 15% above the cost price. So 40,000 into 115 by 100, which works out to 46,000. This is the list price, but remember, he is not selling at this price. He is giving a discount. So discounted value, or otherwise called as the selling price, here is 5% less than this. So that means we need to calculate 95% of this, which works out to 43,700 rupees. All right. Now, this is the selling price. Input GST is whatever he has paid to the wholesaler, 4,800. Output GST we have to calculate. So output CGST would be 43,700 into 6%, which works out to 2622. Similarly, SGCST will also be 2622. So this will add up to 5244. So the net or the GST paid by this party will be output minus input. Output is 4,800. Input is 524. Output is 5244 and input is 4,800. So here the difference is 5244 minus 4,800, which is 444, in which half will go to the state government and half will go to the central government. Now let's see the consumer story. Consumer's cost price is the retailer's selling price. And what is retailer's selling price? This one, isn't it? So 43,700. The tax paid by the consumer is the tax collected by the retailer, which is 5244. 5244. So the amount paid by the consumer to obtain this product is 48,944 rupees. So that's all. We are done with the calculation. Now let's start answering the question. These ones, 46,000, 48,944, 222, 222 and 2622. Now let's see whether we are getting this answer. The marked price of the TV. The marked price of the TV. All right. The marked price of the TV is here. Who's marking this? The retailer. So here is the answer for that. The marked price of the TV is 46,000. Next one, the amount which the consumer pays for the TV. The consumer pays this. This is case 2. Now, the amount of tax paid by the retailer to the central government. What is a retailer paying to the central government? The retailer paying 2622 to the central government. Right? Sorry, down. I have to subtract and write the figure. So it's over here. This one is done. And this one, yes. This is what he pays. So this is case 3 answer. Now, case 4. Amount of tax received by the state government. Now from where and all the state government received? The state government received from the wholesaler and also from the retailer, isn't it? So I need to add this figure and I have to add this figure. So 2400 plus 222 is 2622 is the answer for the fourth subdivision. And that's it. I'm done with 4 very important sums. Hope you like this and you enjoy. Share it with your friends and try to repeat the same question once again. Tomorrow I'll come up with the next questions of the same chapter. Thank you.